Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, we're talking water in the Silver State with attorney Joe Guild for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Take a look at this. Tom Steyer.
Tom Steyer.
Surging in Nevada. This is working for Tom Steyer. Surging in South Carolina.
I don't think it's just resources.
Surging in 2 new polls out of Nevada and South Carolina.
Polling at double digits, up 11 points from October. That is dramatic.
I'm saying we have a broken government. That's what's going on in Washington, D.C. It's been bought by corporations. And my question to the American people is, who do you think is going to change that?
I'm Tom Steyer, and I approve this message.
Hello, is this D&D Roofing?
Yes, it is. How may I help you?
You did such a great job on my roof. May I speak to the owner?
I am an owner.
Oh, can I speak to your supervisor?
Sure.
How may I help you?
I love your work. May I speak to the owner?
I am an owner. We're all owners. Well, that's why at D&D we work so hard to keep your home safe and sound.
Oh, no wonder.
D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal. Local, employee-owned, here for you.
Like a traditional handmade basket, retail is woven into the fabric of life in Nevada. From big box to mom and pop, retail supports our communities in countless ways. Jobs for the disabled, team uniforms for kids, help for the elderly, and so much more. Retail employs over 1 in 10 workers. Retail supports Nevada, and we support retail.
RANNV.org.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we are delighted, as always, to welcome back to the program Joe Guild, the attorney. Pleasure to have you back on the program, sir.
Morning, Sam.
So, water has been a fairly big issue on this program over the last couple of months. We had a discussion with Brad Kroll talking about various water issues. And the thing that struck me was that it seems with this new administration, it's a year old now, that we're seeing, I don't want to say a 180-degree turn in the way we look at water in the state, but what strikes you as the difference between previous administrations and this administration as far as water law goes?
Well, I certainly wouldn't call it a 180-degree shift. But, I mean, let's start at the heart of this. We have a new state engineer in Tim Wilson. The guy sat on the bench for 30 years, watching at least 3, I think, state engineers, maybe 4. And Tim really knows water law. And if you listen to him during the last legislative session, it was evident from some of the first words he spoke that he knew what the heck he was talking about. So we have fundamentally, we have a person who's well versed in our statutes. And if that's the case, if what I'm saying is correct, you can't you can't do a 180-degree turn knowing what our water law statutes say. Now, is there a tone difference? I think so. I think we'll find that Tim has, that Mr. Wilson has a good grounding and probably has thought about what he would do if he were state engineer in those past 30 years. So he's probably got some ideas of his own. You know, the most recent example is up in the North Valleys here in Washoe County, where he issued an order to curtail any new permits for pumping. Now, it doesn't have anything to do with existing water, domestic water sources, but it's a signal that he wants to take a step back here and assess the resource capabilities of that basin. So, and he has all of the authority that he needs to do that in our existing statutes. Without commenting on what I think a prior or past state engineer would say or do in that regard, I'd just say that that Mr. Wilson looked at the growth here in Washoe County and some of the problems that could exist, you know, in these basins that take a lot of, I think it's a 500 acre foot basin that he was talking about. So he's being pretty conservative. Well, he's actually being pretty prudent, and maybe born from conservatism. So I don't see a major shift, but I see maybe a different tone and an ability to possibly make some decisions underneath the authority that exists in the statutes that maybe would not have been made before.
So do you see any sign of a pro or anti-growth stand?
No, I don't detect that. I see a scientist. I mean, remember, we have a state engineer, and thank goodness we don't have lawyers as in that position, to tell you the truth. We have engineers, scientifically trained people who are supposed to take into account hydrology and hydrogeology and resource needs and against resource abilities. And so I see a scientist mind approaching it, not an anti-growth thing, assessing it from the capabilities of the resource.
Pat Mulroy was on the program. I know you watched the show. And she spoke about a potential crisis in northern Nevada for Reno Sparks if we don't build additional reservoir capacity. We had the head of TUMWA, the Truckee Meadows Water Authority, on the program, and it was interesting because he put out a great deal of confidence in their water plan over the years, but ended up with a caveat that they do a 5-year update, obviously every 5 years, and if changes needed to be made, they could be made to that plan. But he also said all the best reservoir sites are gone. What do you make, you know, when Ms. Mulroy speaks, we all listen. So when she says there's a potential crisis in a long-term drought in northern Nevada because of the growth, how do you respond to that? Well,
first of all, you know, I used to work for Pat Mulroy, and when she spoke, I really listened. Well, here's the thing. I think it's probably correct that the best sites are. I mean, you look at Stampede, Prosser, Lake Tahoe. You look at Independence Reservoir or Lake, which is now a protected reservoir on the Truckee. And that's probably correct as far as storage capabilities of the best sites. I didn't see the interview with the TUMWA exec, but we have a classic, we don't need to reinvent the wheel situation based upon what Pat Mulroy did in the Las Vegas Valley. In the late 60s, into the early 1970s, it was evident that the only source of water in Las Vegas Valley was the Las Vegas Valley aquifer, and it was being depleted. It has I think I remember the number, about a 46,000 acre foot capability of recharge. So that's the that's the perennial yield of that basin, and it was being depleted to the point where there were subsidence issues in some of the townships in Las Vegas Valley. Well, fast forward, what the Las Vegas Valley Water District and the Southern Nevada Water Authority did starting in the 80s, if I remember right, they started taking surplus water out of Lake Mead because the first intake had been built and was being used, and re-injecting that water, the surplus water, back into the basin to the point where now that 46,000 acre foot reservoir is full. It seems to me that part of the long range planning that could be done here in the Truckee Meadows is to re-inject water into this aquifer, into this basin. And you could do it into Washoe Valley, you could do it here, you could do it in the Spanish Springs Valley. re-inject. Water wells can be reversed, and you can send water back down as easily as you can bring it back up. So that's a possibility, it seems to me. Now, I've never had a conversation with anybody about this. Your question prompted something that I'd been thinking about for a while, but hadn't really ever articulated it. But that could help. Now, as to the crisis part of her statement, you know, in Verdi, Nevada, you get 13 inches of rain a year. In Vista, 10 miles, 13 miles, whatever it is to the east, you get 6 inches of rain a year. So we have a problem in Nevada. We don't get a lot of moisture. And so it seems to me prudent, and I don't know if 5 years is the right answer. The Southern Nevada Water Authority updates its resource plan every year. But certainly updating water resource plans is a prudent thing to do, and obviously they're going to do it, which is a good thing.
Do you think the cost of water in northern Nevada, beyond a certain minimal amount that should be utilized for every family for showering and water drinking, etc., should be more expensive so that people who want to have large, lush landscapes pay a fair price, and a price that may make them think twice about watering?
Well, again, you know, I can't speak for the Truckee Meadows Water Authority, but it seems to me in the desert Southwest, and we're part of that, and, you know, Los Angeles is part of that, frankly, and San Diego, we have to be really cognizant of what are the drivers, what are the motivators, and price. You know, it's certainly something that should be considered. The Southern Nevada Water Authority has done that in Las Vegas, Tucson, I think Albuquerque, other places have incremental costs for the amount of water that's being used. It seems to me that's probably a good idea at some point. And obviously you need a baseline that certain people need to be, you know, pay a minimum amount, because water is as they say, it is life. It's true.
Sure, of course.
And we need it. And if you have an elderly citizen that's in a wheelchair,
right? Yeah, no, and I'm in no way suggesting that we punish people at the lower levels.
Yeah, but somebody who wants to irrigate an acre and a half of lawn, they should maybe pay a little more.
And when you look at the growth that's coming, the growth that the demographers say so far, so that's looking at 5,000 new homes per year for the next 10 years. That's 50,000 homes. That's probably 125,000 people. Mm-hmm. That's just the beginning. You've got another 10, 15, maybe even 20 years more of that kind of growth coming right behind it.
Yep. I can remember when the building we're sitting in was part of a ranch when I was a kid. This was a pasture underneath this parking lot and this building. Yeah, I mean, gosh, Sam, this is a great, desirable place to be, and we as a collective politic need to figure out how we're going to accommodate all this growth. I mean, we're talking about water, but goodness gracious, you know, the traffic is another problem, and just infrastructure needs.
Well, you know, Lee Gibson, on his last appearance on this program before he stepped down as the head of the Washoe County RTC, said that when it comes to expanding I-80 and doing these other major projects to accommodate growth, we can't look at the federal government. It's going to have to come from us.
Yeah, I think that's probably right.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We have lots more to talk about after this.
We started this community garden to grow more than fresh food. We're growing a stronger, healthier future in Nevada, but not without help. Tom Steyer knows real change starts at the grassroots. That's why he rallied Nevadans to win clean energy. and teamed with farmers to bring fresh produce to public schools. As president, Tom will unite us to save our planet. That's why I'm caucusing for Tom.
I'm Tom Steyer, and I approve this message.
Ahern Rentals began as Signal Gas Station on Las Vegas Boulevard. Founder John Ahern grew the business by offering rentals. His son Don built on John's legacy, growing Ahern Rentals into the largest independently owned American rental company, with 89 locations in 30 states. Don also brought his experience and vision to equipment manufacturing with Extreme Manufacturing and Snorkel. Today, Ahern Rentals continues to bring its family values to a new generation. Learn more at ahern.com.
Hi, I'm Eric Robnett, owner of Home Energy Experts. Has this ever happened to you?
Honey, did you remember to turn down the thermostat?
Forgetting to set the temperature? Not fun. We can help. Our new smart thermostat keeps the temperature set for your comfort all by itself.
I'm feeling hot now.
To increase your comfort, go to homeenergyexperts.com for details. That's homeenergyexperts.com.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with attorney Joe Guild, who, by the way, is a legend in the Silver State.
So are you.
Oh, let's not get crazy here. So let's talk about some of the comments that were made by Brad Kroll on the program, head of the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. And he was talking about billions of dollars potentially being spent on the pipeline from eastern Nevada down to Las Vegas, which almost everybody, Marilyn Kirkpatrick, Tick Segerblum, the list goes on, of people saying, and the governor saying, we don't want to build this pipeline, or saying it's in the plan, but it's at the tail end of the plan, we hope we never have to use it. He's saying, if it's going to cost billions of dollars, if we have billions of dollars to spend, we should look at all other alternatives. Your thoughts on that?
Well, you heard Pat Mulroy say it in your recent interview with her too, that pipeline project, the in-state importation project, has always been a last resort type project. And John Ensminger has said it recently, the current head of the Southern Nevada Water Authority, that it's part of the resource plan, but it's not number one on the list. In fact, there's enough water, if I understand what John Ensminger said, based on 3 different scenarios, there's enough resource right now to supply all of the potential growth needs in Southern Nevada, including population and tourist growth, to take the need for that project at the earliest back almost to 2050, if I remember right. So that having been said, when I first started consulting with the Southern Nevada Water Authority back in the 1990s, one of the first conversations I had with one of the deputy directors, Kay Brothers, who was in charge of resources, a great friend of mine, was the need to think about all of the options, including desalination plants on the Pacific coast. And I had that same conversation with Pat Mulroy. The problem is the politics get in the way. That's one problem. Another problem in Mexico is there's no ability to do government financing, bonding, like we do in the United States, to build a multi-billion-dollar desalination plant. So there's some impediments there that just sometimes, kind of, recently, a couple years ago, my wife and I went to Carlsbad, California, and the new desalination plant there on the coast, I think is capable of 50,000 acre feet a year. Maybe it's 5,000 acre feet a year, I can't remember, but anyway, multi-billion-dollar project, and everybody thinks that desal is a good idea. I think it's a good idea. But you also have to build a big power plant right next to the desal plant to take care of all the needs, including getting rid of the brine that comes from this and the potential ecological environmental impacts of discharging that brine back out into the ocean, and what that might do to the plant and the flora and the fauna populations. So big problems, but desal is a good idea. By the way, so is bringing water from the Columbia River down to Nevada. A great idea, which I've heard my whole life.
Yes.
But anyway, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. We'll take a break. We'll come back and we'll talk about some big ideas after this.
Dimitri Prine here for Design Outdoor. Come visit Design Outdoor's store and backyard to see our wide selection of fire pits, barbecues, and pizza ovens, natural stone water features and fountains, and frost-proof pottery. Our store and backyard are located at 11600 South Virginia, just north of DeMonte Ranch Parkway. Visit designoutdoor.com or call us at 851-9499.
Can't do it. Stupid, like my mom.
We can't do anything at Mommy's because you won't pay child support.
Dad said you cheated, and he's not even sure he's my dad.
Mommy said you left both of us, so she isn't gonna let me see you. I look just like my father.
I'm divorce attorney Marilyn York, and I may represent men, but hate has no gender, only casualties. Please, stop sacrificing your children in your war against your ex.
Hi, I'm Dave Newman. Remember me? I used to be the house detective, and now I'm a realtor, full-time at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates. A lot of people ask me, how's the market? You know what? It's fantastic. If you're even kicking around the idea of buying or selling, give me a call. Let's talk about it. Call me at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates and just ask for the guy who used to be the house detective, Dave Newman.
Take a look at this. Tom Steyer.
Tom Steyer surging in Nevada. This is working for Tom Steyer, surging in South Carolina.
I don't think it's just resources.
Surging in 2 new polls out of Nevada and South Carolina.
Polling at double digits, up 11 points from October. That is dramatic.
I'm saying we have a broken government. That's what's going on in Washington, D.C. It's been bought by corporations, and my question to the American people is, who do you think is going to change that?
I'm Tom Steyer, and I approve this message.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with the attorney Joe Guild. So one thing that's going to happen in Southern Nevada, and Marilyn Kirkpatrick said on the program that she thinks that this will happen before her potential term is up, and she could go another 10 years on the Clark County Commission, is that Ivanpah Airport will come online. This would be a huge development. I mean, 18,000 acres for the airport alone, and then plus we're looking to the federal government to get more land. I mean, this is going to be a huge community. Do we have enough water to be able to handle this?
All I can tell you, because I haven't been a part of the conversations in any detail, is obviously the Southern Nevada Water Authority knows about this potential plan and is working on ideas on how to take care of it. That's all I know.
All right, then let me ask you this then. So right now you're part of a team that manages the ranches that Southern Nevada Water Authority has purchased in eastern Nevada.
Correct.
What happens to the water now? It's not moving obviously down to Southern Nevada. There is no pipeline. Is there excess water? What's happening to that water?
You know, there's applications and decisions relative to 63,000 acre-feet of municipal and industrial water that was applied for by the Southern Nevada Water Authority in 1989. The first ranch was purchased in 2006. And along with that purchase and those purchases of the subsequent ranch properties, totaling 7 ranches, there was an acquisition of agricultural water rights for those. Right now, all of that water is being used for agricultural production. I was just out there last week, and there's sheep and cattle and and hay and other forages being produced with all of that ag water, it's being used by the ranches. And can't remember the exact, there's 36,000 acre feet or maybe 40,000 acre feet, if I remember right, of surface water rights coming out of creeks in the Shell Creek and the Snake Range into Spring Valley that irrigate pastures and fields and supply drinking water for livestock. So there's no plan to move any of that water anywhere south, to use it as an agricultural tool to help replenish the basin, because part of that water percolates back into that agricultural basin. And anyway, I mean, there's a whole program here between you and I on what the ranch's capabilities are to help recharge the Spring Valley aquifer.
And that's something we should talk about, because that's something that's not talked about very often, if at all, which is that water is going back to percolate that deep geologic water over time. Correct. So we have to leave it for right now. Joe Guild, always a pleasure, sir. Thank you.
Good to be here.
And we'll be right back. A bird's eye captures its surroundings at different heights. At Brian Culpa Photography, we can make your imagination soar over buildings, parks, cityscapes, and beyond. Brian's images tell the story and get the job done. If you need a new perspective to tell your story, contact Brian today. Brian Culpa Photography. Experience the bird's eye view at brianculpaphotography.com.
Hi, my name's Marilyn Miner, and I'm sure you'd agree that Nevada's a very special place to live. I was born here, and my husband and I have raised our family here. I feel it's a privilege to live and work in the Truckee Meadows. I especially enjoy helping my clients reach their real estate goals. Sometimes the smallest details provide the greatest satisfaction. I'd be complimented to talk to you about your next move.
Call Marilyn Miner at Dixon Realty, 742-1280, or log on to marilynminer.com.
Pro Group Management specializes in providing industries with the necessary components to satisfy and exceed workers' comp requirements. Every business has unique needs and specific regulations. Pro Group Management stays ahead of the curve, providing up-to-date services to keep your industry in top form. Discover how we simplify your tasks, improve efficiency, and reduce expense to keep you moving in a positive direction. Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
We started this community garden to grow more than fresh food. We're growing a stronger, healthier future in Nevada, but not without help. Tom Steyer knows real change starts at the grassroots. That's why he rallied Nevadans to win clean energy and teamed with farmers to bring fresh produce to public schools. As president, Tom will unite us to save our planet. That's why I'm caucusing for Tom.
I'm Tom Steyer, and I approve this message.
Watch Nevada Newsmakers on YouTube. You can do that now these days. We'll see you on the next broadcast.